Hey everyone, welcome to my channel as a married man. I want to thank you guys for tuning it in and checking it out. It is here where we talk about love, life, relationships, and more, all from the perspective of a married man. So please, everyone, if you can hit that like button and definitely subscribe to the channel, I would totally appreciate it. So today, everyone, I am reviewing a guest essay that was featured in the New York Times, and it's titled, It's Not You, Dating Apps Are Getting Worse. And this article is written by Magdalene J. Taylor. Normally, I'd give props to the source, which is the New York Times, but since they legit blocked this article behind a paywall, NYT can kiss my butt. But anyways, I did manage to read this article for free by using a third-party site. So yeah, you can't beat technology, unfortunately. I will give you a shout out though, Magdalene J. Taylor. Appreciate you. She's the author of this article, as I said. But if you guys do want to read this article, I will post the link to it to the New York Times website. If you do get blocked by a paywall, send me a message and I'll tell you a little simple way how to bypass it. But anyways, so now that I'm done endorsing pirating paywalled news articles, let me just reiterate real quick. The article here is titled, It's Not You, Dating Apps Are Getting Worse. And I'm going to kind of paraphrase the article, go on as I review it, and then I'll go ahead and give you my thoughts on it at the end, as a married man, of course. All right, so here we go, everyone. The article starts by stating, the golden age of dating apps is over. One friend says to another, apparently as they're swiping through like Bumble and Hinge while they're sitting at a bar or something like that. But these friends are lamenting that, dating apps have become the de facto medium through which singles meet nowadays. Yeah, since 2019, like 3 in 10 US adults I've reported using dating apps, and that figure actually rises to roughly like 6 in 10 for Americans under 50 who have never actually even been married. So not only are people not meeting partners in bars, any place in real life, normal in-person venues, you know, um, they're starting to not even meet them on the apps either, apparently. Like continuing forward, author states that most of us maybe we're not as hot as we used to be. Like maybe the market of people willing to put themselves out there and date has gotten smaller, or or maybe the apps have functionally just gotten worse. Now remember this, everyone. Remember this sentence, and I quote: "The more they fail to help us form relationships, the more we're forced to keep swiping and paying." End quote. Just remember those words, everybody, as I continue on. And so the author Magdalene writes that the internet, where so many of us spend time, it has not been spared from the decline in quality that seems to plague so much of modern consumer life. Like sites from Amazon to Reddit, Twitter, which is now X, these platforms that initially hooked consumers for basically being a one-stop shop, often charging nothing, have now walked back, as the author states. And literally there's nowhere else to go. And this is what's happening to dating apps, the author states. It isn't just the technological experience here, but it's our ability to form meaningful, lasting connections offline. So that's another problem. And Magdalene, she gets into the meat of the matter right here, so to speak. She goes on to write that the collapse of the dating apps usability, it can be blamed on the paid subscription model and the near monopoly that these sites have over the dating world. There are dozens of sites, but she talks about the big three here, and those are what's Tinder, Hinge, and Bumble. OGs like me, like older people, I guess we gravitate more towards like Match.com or eHarmony. But these top three dating apps, all three of them offer a premium version that users must pay for. And according to a study conducted by Morgan Stanley, around a quarter of people on dating apps use these premium services. And that averages out to like, under $20 a month. And the purpose many believe is to keep them as paid users as long as possible. So these sites kind of have a devious little plan set in motion. Let's keep these paid users single as long as possible. She called it a cycle of diminishing returns, however, and there's no real alternative for these users. Like apparently in the early days of Tinder, the only limits on the site with whom you can match with were location, gender, and age preferences. Damn. So, like, you could have gotten all the likes back from someone outside your league, At least it would have given you the chance to swipe right. But today, like many apps have pulled the people that you like into separate categories, and often it's only accessible for those who pay. So, like, even if you decide to sign up, a lot of people find this idea to be off-putting, as the author states it. But she goes on to share an example of a friend of hers who's in his 30s, and this guy spends around $50 a month on premium subscriptions just to date and seek out potential dates. Like back in the day, I would never have imagined paying for OkCupid. This dude goes on to say, kind of ridiculous. But even with all this monetizing, shares in these dating apps are falling, as is user growth. So these apps, they're aggressively rolling out new premium models, trying to combat the decline in their stock prices. Um, it goes on to say, like in September 2023, Tinder released a $500 a month plan. I don't know if anyone can confirm that, but that sounds absolutely ridiculous. But on Valentine's Day of this year, Match Group, which owns Tinder, Hinge, Match.com, OkCupid, amongst others, was actually sued in a proposed class action lawsuit that asserted that the company gamifies its platforms to transform users into gamblers locked into a search for psychological rewards that basically makes matching elusive on purpose. So they're actually making it more difficult for you to find partners. Uh, if you know anything about online mobile games, like everything's locked behind a paywall, everything's pay to win, and now these dating apps are making it, pay to win basically. And that's not cool at all, man, especially when you're looking for love. um like this is in contrast to Hinge's ad slogan that promotes Hinge as being designed to be deleted. They're saying one thing and doing the other, if you can dig it. And their whole purpose here is to keep you locked in on these paid dating platforms. But people are reporting similar complaints across these dating apps. Pew Research shows that over the last several years, the percentage of dating app users across multiple demographics feels dissatisfied. Just under half feel somewhat to very negative about dating online. Like, believe it or not, the higher rates of negativity are coming from women, like who don't even use these premium features. Like women feel overwhelmed, to be honest. While men, on the other hand, they feel underwhelmed. Uh, Insert the red-pilled MTEL laughter here about, men struggling on dating websites. But anyways, Magdalene goes on to state that, with increasing frequency, people are going on sites like TikTok, Reddit, Twitter, and X, and basically complaining about the dwindling group of eligible people. And they're complaining about monthly fees. They're harking back to the good old days when all this dating stuff was free. And how much of a disaster it's become. Like, dating has always cost money without, there's no doubt about that. But there's something, the author states, there's something uniquely galling about the way these apps now function. And it's here where the author, Magdalene, she drops some truth bombs as she finishes up here. She states that perhaps dating apps once seemed too good to be true. That's because they were. You know, we should never have been exposed to what these apps originally provided. The sense that the dating pool is somewhat unlimited, ever increasing in quality well of people. We've distorted our understanding of how we organically pair up and actually forgotten how to actually meet people in the process. Like that's well said by Megs there, right? She goes on to finish how romantic lives are not products. They should not be subjected to monthly subscription fees. Dating apps, they treat people like commodities, and they encourage us to treat others the same way. Like lastly, finishing this article to be quick here, guys. Like there is, however, a push towards the return to the real world. You know, new in-person dating, meetup opportunities, the return of speed dating. Like the author laments, hopefully, maybe we'll start meeting in bars again rather than swiping through apps while holding a drink. So that was the article by Magdalene, everybody, paraphrased poorly by me, of course. Shout out to Megs, not shouting out the New York Times for paywalling this. But, you know, more importantly, what are my thoughts on this article here as a married man? Well, first of all, you know, I titled this video, Collapse of the Dating App. Good. So that pretty much sums up my thoughts, like right there. Like dating apps are starting to fail, you know, their stock's plummeting, and that's good, you know. Like before I give some more of my opinion, let me just go through Meg's article here quick and give a little bit of my insight on what it is she stated throughout. Um, so Magdalene, she opened up talking about her and a friend are sitting in a bar, they're holding their drinks, they're swiping dating apps and, you know, looking around this bar. I guess that's kind of what everyone's up to, staring at their screens, swiping left or right. And, you know, that's pretty sad. That's that paints a sad picture of today's dating market, if it is as bad as she says. But she goes on to talk about how, you know, and it's the truth. She talks about how dating apps have become the de facto way in which people are meeting nowadays. Um, you know, she quoted like from 3 in 10 adults use these apps, all the way up from 6 to 10 adults. And but why are these apps failing? She's asking. Is it because we're not as hot as we once thought we were? You know, not enough people are on the market anymore. Like, no, no. Instead, the author here, she gets to the crux of the situation quick. She talks about no, it's these apps actually they've gotten a lot of worse. They've gotten worse quality wise, as has a lot of the internet. Like sites that were once free and like awesome are now being paywalled. Like I actually started laughing while writing that out, you know. So I'm over here cussing out the New York Times for paywalling this very article, and that's kind of proof of what's happening all over the internet. Like even YouTube. I don't want to speak ill of YouTube here, being a humble indentured servant on their behalf, but like even YouTube, there's what is it like YouTube TV, and there's YouTube Premium, and there's all sorts of different, you know, you pay to skip commercials, and every single video you watch nowadays has advertisements on it. Like it's happening all over the internet. Every OG website used to be free and be great, and now it's all becoming paid content, and basically it's just happening all over. And the article does go on to it quotes a writer named Cory Doctorow. He calls it platform decay. I actually thought that was an excellent way to describe what's happening all over the internet. Like any of you, to rant on a personal note fast, if any of you guys remember how awesome Yahoo used to be, might sound crazy to say about Yahoo of all websites, but Yahoo used to be awesome. Like back in the 90s, they had GeoCities, it was called, which is basically like build your own free web page. It had like Yahoo used to have like vast chat rooms. You know, personally, I used to spend hours on there. Everything from chatting about like science fiction to do helping learn, languages, like going to a chat room in another country, speaking another language. Chat rooms about everything you can imagine Yahoo used to have. But they even had, I think it's where Match.com originated, even on Yahoo as a dating app. It wasn't even an app at the time, it was just part of Yahoo. But, anyways, yeah, look at Yahoo now, guys. It's like a second rate, crappy search engine. Like, it went from awesome to garbage. It took away GeoCities, it took away the chat rooms, the dating. Yeah, Match.com has become a joke, you know. But back to the article here. Sorry to talk about the good old days, but back to the article. It does make a good point. Like the reason these dating apps are losing people, the reason they're hemorrhaging stock prices, it's because of this paid subscription model crap, Like, believe it or not, and with my wife's permission, as part of a research project I was doing, running a relationship YouTube channel and stuff, I actually downloaded Tinder on my phone. I wanted to know what it was all about, kind of just see how the other half lives here. They're still in the dating game. But anyways, I downloaded Tinder. It said I matched with all these women, but I couldn't actually see any of their profiles. Like it kept saying, "Oh, you matched with this woman and that woman, and she liked you, and she like super liked you or something." And I went to check their profiles, and it said I had to pay like $9.99 a month or something as a subscription. And so like my whole Tinder experience lasted like 2 days. And one day I figuring out what the hell I was doing. Like, you swipe left and you swipe right. And I think if you swipe up, it's like a super like or something. And I don't remember what the hell swiping down did. You banned them or something. But anyways, the second Tinder asked for money, I was like, I'm out. Like I deleted it like just right off the bat, man. But like a lot of people are that way. Like although as a married man, I never got to experience this golden age of Tinder, where you just meet with anyone in your radius, like swiping left or right, you just message them, you hook up, and like I remember coworkers were all into that, the single guys at least, and I remember just shaking my head at that. Like how easy is it nowadays for these youngsters? You know what I mean? But getting back to it, I talked about platform decay a second ago, and yeah, like Tinder and all these dating apps, they're all going through this platform decay. Like they generally suck nowadays. Like these sites, like they all do, they got greedy, and that's the crux of this whole article that Magdalene wrote. Like that's the backbone of this entire article, is just how these dating sites have declined in quality, and they've all become pay to play type of sites, and some of them just going charging outrageous dollar amounts. But reviewing I actually did review other articles on the subject from other websites. And a lot of women, believe it or not, they're getting sick of these websites, of these apps, because of the quality of their men are not up to their expectations. They're getting sick of these apps because these women are getting unsolicited material. They're getting threats apparently. But the most thing I read from different sources, like I said, different articles, they all talked about the fact that women in general, they're just getting burned out. Like these apps, some of them are, women even have to make the first move. Um, but women sometimes they don't want to make the first move, but overall, women just feel burned out by these apps, probably because they're the hunter. they're overrepresented, and guys out there are locked behind a paywall. Like, how does that work out for guys when women get in for free, like in a club, and guys got to pay a cover charge? Like, men suffer on dating apps. Women apparently suffer for a completely different reason. Women are just overwhelmed by the amount of men trying to hit them up. Men, on the other hand, are locked behind paywalls, so it's like it's not working out either way. These sites are failing because both sexes here are just getting fed up. But like as a married man, I have no experience with dating apps. other than that Tinder fiasco I talked about. But I do agree with Magdalene what she says near the end of her article. Like she states, like our romantic lives and not products. It shouldn't be subjected to subscription fees. Like these apps treat people like commodities. Hey, that's a truth bomb right there, man. Like for real. And like she stated it way early in the article, if you guys remember. To quote, the more they fail to help us form relationships, the more we're forced to keep swiping and paying. Like I told you guys, remember that quote from earlier. Like that sums up dating apps into what they've become. Like they're intentionally causing us to fail. They want us to keep swiping. They want us to keep swiping because they want us to keep paying. Um, they become pay to win, which is ridiculous. Um, but what people need to understand, like, as a personal note, as a married man, I just want to say, like, what people need to understand is that these apps would never, and I repeat, they were never our friend to begin with. Like these apps, these dating apps have done as much damage as effinism to men and women, into brainwashing our current generation of men and women out there. Like these apps have taught and subconsciously like trained us into believing like sex is as easy as swiping left or right. Like these apps have damaged an entire generation of men and women, and I've seen it happen right before my eyes. I always tout myself as being this sitting on the sidelines of the dating game type of married guy who watches things unfold in front of him. And I literally have seen this unfold in front of me. How these dating apps have absolutely just destroyed men and women ability to like even just talk to each other in real life. You know what I mean? Like, and for all the women and the men who are out there, like I can say straight up as a married man, like no man who knows his worth, like no man who has any sort of self-respect would ever like wife up a Tinder, uh, a woman on Tinder. I don't want to use any degrading comments to describe these women, but you know, these women who put sex out on the first date after nothing but a swipe and a couple of remarks from a guy, like no guy takes her seriously as a wife. Like, but on behalf of women, to advocate on a woman's behalf, like, women deserve better than that. But women should know better. Like, as a married man, like I advocate on behalf of women. I'm not just a manosphere dwelling, red pilled M Tower. Like I do understand the condition, where women are coming from. Like I understand women want relationships. I understand women long for relationships as much as men do. Women want to get married. They want to fall in love and all that. Ladies, like, I'm sorry to say, like, Tinder isn't your friend here. Like, if you're on Tinder, that's a scarlet letter. Like, ladies, if you're on Tinder, that's a red flag to any self-respecting man who has any shred of self-worth. Like, the same as being on OnlyFans or the same as being, formerly a POR and actress. Like, you're no longer relationship material. You're a one night stand material. Like ladies, you have to understand that sex should not be your opening chip in the relationship game. No relationship should start out from a one night stand, and if it does, it usually fails. So, ladies, if sex is all you have to offer, like you're never gonna have a meaningful relationship. Uh, so it's like, that's what these apps have reduced relationships to. Random one night stand sex. And that's all it is. It's random and meaningless sex. And like, to be honest, I think like men and women are getting sick of it at this point. I think they're starting like to open their eyes. Andrew Tate called it like the Matrix. Like it's nice that people are starting to wake up from that these apps are actually destructive in terms of men and women being able to pair bond. Um, so it's nice to see people actually starting to wake up. The fact that men are being forced to pay these outrageous and ridiculous like premium membership fees that women are being hounded and then harassed on these apps, and they're finding these apps to be pretty much like they're becoming like meaningless. Um, but like it's detrimental to both men and women, you know? Like they reduce women to the lowest common denominator. They destroy the ability for men and women to communicate in real life, to develop emotionally, to even form the skills necessary to interact with people in real life, you know? Like life isn't a simulation. Life isn't the Matrix, as Tate calls it. Like people need to learn how to communicate in the real world, you know, to be able to talk and approach each other. And I know there's stigmas about approaching women nowadays and all that stuff, but like it's more beneficial than having to swipe on an app. Like in closing, guys, I apologize for ranting, but like ladies, especially the ladies, you need to avoid these apps. They aren't worth it. You'll never find a wife or a husband. Men, you'll never find your wife on Tinder. Like ladies, you're only degrading and embarrassing yourselves. Like people need to touch grass, as I said. Ladies, no man wants to marry a woman who's been passed around like a joint at a party. Like if he sees you on Tinder, you're automatically dismissed as any meaningful relationship material. And guys, stay off of OnlyFans. Stay off of these stupid dating apps. They're not worth it. If you're paying a subscription just to hook up for a random meaningless sex, like you should be ashamed of yourselves. Like your man card needs to be put on fucking probation, uh, because you shouldn't be having to demean yourselves to paying $9.99 a month to Twitter or Tinder just to hope you can meet some woman. Like that's sad. That's pathetic. But anyways, guys, that's my thoughts on this subject. Apparently these dating apps are going down, they're going broke. Apparently usage is dropping. Me as a married man, I'm very glad that's happening. But anyways, that was my thought on the subject. Let me know what you guys think. Like, have you guys actually had success, male or females, men or women listening? Have you guys actually ever had success on a dating app? Like, have you found your true love? Like, ladies in particular, like, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Because apparently women are getting so much grief on these apps from what I've read. Like, men are having a hard time just having to have to pay to see any woman in this area. But apparently women are getting the business on these apps, and it's not good. But hey, ladies, let me know what you think. Guys, give me some comments. If you guys do want to reach out to me personally, my email is asamarriedman@outlook.com. But other than that, I want to thank you guys for listening, and I totally appreciate all of you. I know I can't form a coherent sentence sometimes. I rant and I rave and I go off on weird tangents. Um, just bear with me. I'm working on it, but I appreciate y'all. And I will hopefully see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.